You've heard of Rosa Parks and how she famously refused to give up her seat on the bus, but have you heard of the 15-year-old girl who helped push the Montgomery bus boycott 9 months before her? I'm Katherine Bynum, and this is Hidden Histories. So on March 2nd, 1955, Claudette Colvin boarded a bus and sat in the colored section. At the next stop, a lot of white passengers started to board, and the segregation line was actually breached. White and black passengers could not sit across from each other. So the bus driver then approached Colvin and asked her to move from her seat. Colvin was a member of the local NAACP Youth Council chapter. She probably understood more than many others what her civil rights were, and that she in fact wasn't violating the law when the color line was breached on the bus because there were no other seats available to her. But still, the bus driver insisted that she give up her seat, and Colvin still refused, and he called police to forcibly remove her from the bus. She was sentenced to indefinite probation and was also charged with assault and battery of a police officer, even though testifying officers contended they actually were not assaulted by Colvin at all. Colvin was not the first woman arrested for violating the city's segregation laws, but she was the first to plead innocent and try to challenge the city's segregation laws in court.
Claudette Colvin, a bespectacled, studious-looking high school student, accepted the court's ruling with the same cool aloofness she had maintained throughout her 2.5-hour hearing.
The reason why we oftentimes don't think of Claudette Colvin as the catalyst for the Montgomery bus boycott was because she was actually pregnant and she was 15 years old, and an unwed mother being the center of this struggle was something that could potentially derail the entire movement, especially in terms of what was happening in Montgomery. Respectability was a big issue within the civil rights movement because there were a lot of critics that could derail any type of activism that didn't come from this sort of respectable figure. In some ways, Claudette Colvin really was the idyllic and most symbolic image of the civil rights movement in Montgomery because she came from this working class community, many of whom experienced that very same degrading and humiliating treatment on the city buses.
Claudette Colvin's testimony was crucial in the federal lawsuit that ruled bus segregation unconstitutional. In December of 1956, just over a year after the Montgomery bus boycott began, the Supreme Court ordered Alabama to desegregate its buses. It wouldn't have been possible without Colvin's initial arrest and her subsequent testimony before the district court.